disposal despite the absentees, of course, and he'll be delighted to see that man, Sébastien Tillers-Bourd, back. His first game since January when he damaged his shoulder against Bath, and a critical character within this Toulon group.
I would expect Toulon to be slightly rusty. They played, 24th of June, I think the top 14 final is. They were back in training on the 25th of July. And here we are, less than a month on from there. That's by no means a massive pre-season at all. No time to prepare, really, for this starting or opening fixture.
No, Toulon have had a couple of friendlies against Stade Francais and Toulouse, which ultimately proved victorious. But you're right, Tom, whether they're battle-hardened, we shall wait and see. Quick free kick goes to the home side. Monrebaud revs his engine and drives into the opposition. Really takes him up to the 22. There's an advantage being played for the home side should they require it. Looking at early width to bring Bustos Moyano in. None is really forthcoming for referee Salim Atala. And they'll go back for the first, you would think, kickable penalty opportunity of the day.
Just slightly over-eager there. Marnonu being penalised. And it's an area of the game that Toulon will have to be careful, because Bustos Moyano is a great kicker from the tee. Very accurate. And you just don't want to let Bayonne almost get a sniff of creating a lead.
The importance of the Argentinian, very obvious, nigh on 200 points last year. And when you look back at the final and semi-final, 7 penalties in the 21-16 victory over Aurillac in the final, 7 penalties and a conversion in the 28-16 semi-final win over Colomiers. And as expected, gets Bayonne's tally underway as they return to the top table.
Just see Dibalt Senecal there, clapping Bustos Moyano. He used to play in the second row for Toulon a few years ago. Had some pretty horrific knee injuries and actually moved on to Bayonne to continue playing, but's moved into a coaching capacity now.
Yeah, Senegal now in charge of the forwards, and there's one of the key forwards, Tom Donnelly, the former All Black, brought in from Montpellier, really ostracised to a certain extent by Jake White when he came on board. And to be fair, they had a forfeit of good second rows in the Montpellier ranks, didn't they? So difficult times as Rouet, the little Spanish scrum half, feeds on to the skipper. Monrebaud sets it back once again for his 9. Jimmy Yobo brings his man down, but it cannot stop this flow from Bayonne. Pablo Huete, not often we see a Chilean international, or a Namibian one, PJ Van Leeuw.
Or a Spanish one.
Yeah, you name it, it really is the colours of the rainbow in the top 14. And there is a delightful kick from Duplessis to take his team up into attacking territory. Senecal applauding his man.
Possibly an argument for crossing there, but it's a good run by Rouet. And that is a fantastic piece of skill, just to spot the positioning of the winger Jimmy Yobo. Delightful placement into the corner.
No, it's a big day for this young man. Georgian under-20 hooker Badri Alkazashvili played in the Junior World Championship in Manchester in June for his country. And now, because of the injuries to Guillaume Guirado, Anthony Etriard and Jean-Charles Aurioli, who's on the bench, but we understand not fully fit, it's the young Georgian who gets the chance to show what he's about. There's a charge through there. Florian Frazier quick to react. Well, a nervy start for the visitors.
It's not ideal from Sébastien Tillers-Bourd. He would expect a bit more from his forward pack there, just to provide a bit more of a platform, a blocking curtain, so he can get away that box kick.
Francois Tranduc in new colours, of course, this season, having made the same 230-kilometre move as Gorgotze, Pellissier and Esconde into the Toulon ranks. Little dab through from Janet, the 7 specialist back in the 15s game. And there's the Toulon number 15, Lee Halfpenny, finding his opposite number though. Van Leeuw, known as the dentist because that's his trade, but really a huge character. We saw him in the Rugby World Cup working under Phil Davis, of course, another revered number 8. Donnelly. Van Leeuw finding no way through there, so they'll have to reset and re-go off the scrum put in.
Just need to be careful there, Bayonne. Clearly they've recruited to try and bulk up that pack, as we spoke about before we came on air, Wardy, but they really need to mix it properly with these Toulon forwards to be able to match them. The likes of Suter, Gorgodzi, Taufi Fanua, and then when you can bring on Samu Manoa, that's a real area that they have to be dominant in to ensure that they get the ball going forward.
There you can see some of the names that have come into the Bayonne ranks. The Scottish international Johnny Beattie on the bench, Cittadini, the big Italian tight head, Donnelly, we've mentioned Kinchikashvili, Tanner Alatama not ready to play for his new team yet. So experienced operators and a lot of bulk being put into the 8. There's Marc Del Masso, the Toulon scrum coach. He was one of the focuses of discussion, shall we say, between Michel Boudjelal and Diego Dominguez. Dominguez wanting to work with Jacques Delmar, the forwards coach that was already in place, but there he is. Formerly, of course, of Basque, of Berit, just down the road. Interesting to see how the chemistry in that Toulon coaching committee now works through the course of the season. Of course, Bernard Laporte has left the building, and now it is a very new look coaching committee. Steve Meehan, of course, the other name that we haven't mentioned.
It always seems fairly fluid, doesn't it?
Fluid, that might be the understatement of the new season.
You're not quite sure whether you've got a job on the Monday morning or not.
Certainly they brought Grant Dorey in, the former London Irish defence coach, after Sean Edwards found out that the Welsh Rugby Union wouldn't allow him to go job share. There's a big push from the Toulon 8. Del Masso, of course, did so much good work with Japan and Eddie Jones through the World Cup. His coaching stock really increased dramatically through that time.
It's huge power there, isn't it, from the Toulon pack? And if you bear in mind that actually they've probably got their 4th choice hooker in place and missing a large amount of players through other injuries, Bayonne really need to back that up, not just in this fixture, but throughout the season.
There you can see some of the new names that are in the Toulon ranks. Liam Gill only arrived from Australia during the week. Vincent Clerc not quite fit enough to start. Goromaru has a shoulder injury which is going to keep him out for a little while yet. As ever, a great mix within the red and black shirt.
Well worked out, they've got at least 6 back 3 missing, which is why we see Jimmy Yobo and Michael Blanc on the wings tonight.
Halfpenny gets there, Teddy underway, Dominguez there with Tom Whitford, the team manager, Steve Meehan just to his left, and Jacques Delmas happy with that start. Yes, Jimmy Yobo returning from that loan to Oyonnax, normally a centre, but doing duty on the left wing this evening. Of course, Drew Mitchell away with Australia at the moment. James O'Connor, he's injured as well. And Joshua Tuisoba, I don't know whether you saw some of the pictures online of their return the Fijian return following their Olympic gold. It was wonderful to see.
Unavailable due to party.
For some while, I think. Bustos Mayano weighing up his options, running it back, but Van Lille just takes his eye off the ball, and his turnover ball as Frazier looks to set things up. Little stab through from Manonu for Lee Halfpenny. Bustos Mayano wanting Bayonne to go from their own line. This is a little haphazard, and the pressure coming on Bastien Fuster does well. I don't know whether Bayonne have been using sevens as their warm-up through the summer, but certainly that's the mindset.
Julien Janet's been having too much of an influence. I can understand trying to get the ball in play, keep the ball away from the set piece, away from those big Toulon forwards. That effectively is suicide on our own doorstep. Get the ball out of the 22, regroup. Really difficult area for Bayonne to defend here. Exposed on both sides. There's some pretty potent runners out wide for Toulon.
Flexion. Lié. Jeu. On attend.
Free kick to the visitors. Gorgatze takes and goes. A formidable sight coming straight at you. No thought of a sidestep from the Georgian captain. Taufefanua, similar muscular presence. Swing play to Toulon. Forwards taking the ball standing still. Good hands from Tranduk, bringing that one in. Rainbow pass from Nono. Jamie Yobo's on the end of it.
Pas d'avantage. Le 6.
Going back for the advantage given against Jean Monrebeau.
Just get the impression, don't you? Very unlike Toulon to go quickly early on in the game. You just feel that perhaps they think they've got the nudge up front.
Juan Martin Fernandez-Love, captain of Toulon, certainly for today. Guillaume Garrado, we're not sure whether he is going to be captain for the season. Of course, last year it was shared between Jos Souttar and Juan Smith, though neither of those played in that final in Barcelona come the end of their campaign. There's the Bayonne skip, Monrebeau, 7th year in the blue and white. Regulation kick for Halfpenny puts Toulon into the lead for the first time. Good to see Halfpenny back on the park, more than 9 months out, of course. Missing the World Cup as well, and wanting to stay in the south of France and prove his new employers his worth, his value, rather than returning to familiar shores. Sport puts it down the channel, but Bustos Mayano feeding out. There's Van Lille again. Swallowed up by Manonu. See the intent from Bayonne, trying to find width at every opportunity, but their execution is letting them down at crucial moments. Tranduk looking for his skipper inside. Now looking to put width on it with Nonu. Good take from Halfpenny. Cricketer's catch and the wide flanks there from the Welsh international. Sport thinks he can advance down that left flank, but it's back for Romain Martial, the former Castres winger. Feeds his new compatriot. Bustos Mayano not getting far though. Duplessis looking for a more pragmatic approach and finding a very good advance.
Toulon now having a go. Just think Bayonne probably think they've got a bit more fitness in the tank than Toulon after their short pre-season. And as you say, real intent to shift the ball.
Well, the referee happy to play to continue. It's all a bit haphazard. And in the end, all the players just happy to stop and catch up on their oxygen intake.
It's two great kicks from Duplessis, though. Really finding some great territory for the Basque side. Exactly what they needed.
Tranduk seems to be settling in very quickly into the new ranks, such as they are. And of course that 10 slot has been a problem for Toulon since the retirement of Sir Johnny, and that is a key area, of course, for them to build upon. The Quade Cooper experiment really didn't work. Matt Giteau preferring the 12 shot, though. Of course, it looks like he's going to be out for a while now, having bust his ankle in Sydney yesterday. Tranduk gets width on it, Memoz. Nonu up in support, twisting and turning. Taufifanu onto Frazier, but the big second row has to go down a long way to pick up that, and the ball comes away with Rouet.
Avantage terminé pour en avant.
That was from the prop.
Well, doesn't seem to matter what number's on your back at the moment. It's 15 on the back of Bustos Mayano. He's got his wing support, cuts back in. Morabo thought he was in with try time. The ball is there. It's the hook and it's over. Greg Arganese, has he got the first try for Bayonne? It's been given. It was, well, hectic, doesn't seem to cover it, but I think the try's been given. Morabo thought he was going to get first dibs on that. Great break from the fullback. Slapped down as it was, and then it was Arganese, the young Italian hooker, came up, needed 2 goes at it, but the try is given, and Bayonne back in front with their first try, back in the top 14.
The way Bayonne are looking to try and play this game, if Toulon turn the ball over, as they did that far down the field, if they don't shift into their defensive set quickly, Bayonne can clearly expose that, and Bustos Mayano straightened the line brilliantly. Cutting inside, you almost felt he'd blown it by passing that ball inside when there was another player on the outside, but it turned to prove an effective choice with Blanc just knocking the ball back. And I think it's a great way for them to try and set the pace of the game. If they take the game to Toulon, they know that Toulon don't come out of the blocks quickly in the top 14, so really, you know, let's have a crack at them. That's probably their mindset.
Bustos Mayano looking for the extras and finding them to put his team into double figures. And as we come towards the end of the first quarter of this match, it is the home side with a decided advantage, thanks to their ambition and positivity, and let's credit it. The sun may be out. It may be their first game back at the top level, but they're showing intent already. And it really has been a helter-skelter first 20 minutes. And Toulon trying to bust their way through with Taufifanu. Alkazashvili muscling the ball back to his scrum half. Gorgotse waiting out in midfield. Man who scored the first try in that final in the new camp. Tranduk being swallowed up by Morabo. Great work from the Bayonne captain.
Just felt that ball had to go from Tranduk there. ran himself up a bit of an alley, but it's not as huge strength, is it? Getting through the contact, got good feet, but actually in the contact area he's quite, you'd say weak, but it's not the strongest part of his game.
You have to remember that Tranduk only played 7 games last year for Montpellier. And it's going to take him a while, albeit he played for France and Argentina, of course, through the summer. But you look back on last year and it was an unmitigated disaster for the fly-half. Shoulder injury in October, came back in November, 8 days later fractured his leg, came back from that, then in January sprained his ankle. Came back in January and then in March sprained his ankle playing for France against England, and eventually released by Jake White from the playoffs in order that he could go to Argentina. It was an ignominious exit from Montpellier for a man who'd given his heart and soul to that side, but now working in Toulon's cause in defence as Bayonne try and mount another attack. Donnelly moving on again. Monrebeau happy to hang out wide, waits for the call, great line, again it's Arganese. Well, he's got something about him already, this hooker, hasn't he? A dynamic that loves it in the wide as Taufifenua goes very high on his man. Little chip kick from Duplessis, trying to make the most of Romain Martial's height. He does so, puts it back in for Le Boris. Now, is this try going to be given? I think they're going to have to check. Romain Martial, 6'5". Duplessis knew that, but I don't think they've given this one.
Duplessis would have seen that nearly hundreds of times when Martial was at cast. Always a big beacon out on the wing there.
Yeah, you can see his left foot just out in touch there, so going back for that earlier advantage, but just to see the variety in Bayonne's play and the confidence with which they're playing.
I think they realise that if they get sucked into an arm wrestle, it's probably unlikely to go their way, just due to the fact that Toulon are going to probably dominate them up front in a slow, contested game. But this ball from Monrebeau was brilliant, and a fantastic line as well from Choisenou. Arganese's a handful as well, isn't he? Can shift for a front rower.
I think it's yes, it's Duplessis taking over kicking duties. I think Bustos Mayano's just got a little bit winded in those last phases of play. So the man who played for Toulon during the World Cup as a joker puts 3 points against them now in the new season. Played 14 games in red and black, 140 points in that time. 13-6. Bustos Mayano fit to return. Monrebeau happy to take responsibility wherever the ball lands. Really leading his team from the front. Duplessis feeds out to Van Liel again. Rouet biding his time. Of course, Bayonne very close to the Spanish border, so inevitably it's an easy traverse for the Spanish internationals to come to the likes of Bayonne, to Biarritz, and of course Biarritz's demise just down the road means that Bayonne very much the flagship for top-level rugby in this region. Akazashvili. Well, it didn't quite go to plan, but it is still there for his team. Tranduk trying to straighten things up, settle things down a bit. Olivon spent 3 years in Bayonne's colours. Halfpenny being snagged as soon as he got the ball.
c'est derrière.
Look at that blue and
line
white
speed.
line. It's working up so quickly, isn't it? Suffocating the Toulon attack.
They're pretty close to being offside at most breakdowns at the moment. The referee's letting them get away with it, but
On attend
certainly the
blanc,
line speed is something they can clearly put Toulon under pressure with.
Well, you look at the Toulon backline from that final at the new camp, and there's only Lee Halfpenny that's the same personnel. That tells a quite distinctive story in terms of preparation to start a new campaign, I would think.
It's difficult, isn't it? Because their season's so long. You know, most sides would, or players would say, oh, you know, I don't mind having a shorter pre-season, but actually in the long run, and certainly when you get up and running in the first few games, it's going to affect you. And Toulon have got to come back down to this part of France again next week with their visit to Pau, which is not going to be easy.
Now Simon Mannix certainly seems to have his
avantage,
new
en
team
avant.
really firing up quite well, having survived last year, looking to move on this year. Felix Lebrois, formerly of Bordeaux-Bègles, finding no way through there.
Pas d'avantage, vous êtes sous pression.
Now you look at the French internationals and wind your mind back 12 months, Tom, and you realise they started their season, i.e. prior to the World Cup, on the 4th of July and finished it on the 24th of June. So Guillaume Guirado, Maxime Memoz, maybe the only two in the Toulon camp. Francois Tranduc is the third man that's appeared in that elite training squad from Guy Neves. There's only three there. There's the Bayonne coaching committee with Vincent Echetto at the front on the right of your screen, alongside the director of rugby, Nicolas Molez. Echetto, a native of Bayonne, delighted to be back, having been the backs coach, of course, at Bordeaux-Bègles.
Should Toulon have a successful start to the season, they've got Bayonne, Pau, Brive, three teams they would fancy their chances against. They get a flyer at the start of the season, then they come up against Toulouse.
Yeah, time to settle in theoretically, but Jimmy Yobo looks for the direct route. Martial stays firm. Olivon. Roy trying to catch Yobo out of position. Not sure whether the kick had the accuracy he was quite looking for there.
It was Rouet that was lacking the accuracy there, but just look at the skill set of the Toulon players, normally at such a high level. Real high quality players, but it's just the little things that aren't quite going to plan for them at the moment. Tiller's board just being a bit sloppy around the breakdown. Marnonu's not been quite 100% with his handling. It's difficult when you haven't had that repetition through pre-season or the length of time to then come into a full-blown competitive game. Pre-season games are good for a certain amount, but you know they're not full-blown affairs, as we know, and it's quite difficult sometimes to get that rhythm within them. So,
and it's very difficult, therefore, to have a short cut into your pre-season, because it needs time, and if you haven't got the time, you've just got to make a quick fix, I guess. Get your team back on the park, and that's what Toulon have had to do. Certainly when you look at their timeline, you realise that Lyon, who were Pro D2 champions, we knew from quite a way out, actually started their pre-season training before that final was on.
Exactly, and then, you know, how must those players be? They can be a lot more relaxed about the way they attack their pre-season, whereas Toulon have to be really intense for a short period of time.
Good take from Olivon. Charles Olivon scores against his old team, and Toulon really needed that score before the half-hour mark. Good work from Tia Sport to establish the break, and then the young number 8 taking it on.
Fairly simple from Toulon, direct. Knew they had the advantage from the offside in midfield. It's just attacking those close areas, and that's a poor defensive tackle from one of the front rowers close to the breakdown. If you don't nail Olivon first time, He's a real athlete, isn't he?
Well, it was a frustrating first season for Olivon at his new club last season. Only 11 appearances. And for a 23-year-old French international, he was no doubt hoping to get a lot more exposure than he actually achieved. But the first game this season, and of course against his old team, and he's already on the scoreboard with Lee Halfpenny now the chance to tie things up.
I think really with the way the top 14's going, the strategies that the sides have to take on now, it should work better for these younger French players. More opportunity for them to play.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that through the course of this game as Halfpenny makes it even Stevens on the half-hour mark.
Clearly, Liam Gill recruited as almost a direct replacement for Steph Armitage, who's headed down to Pau with Carl Heyman, but there's opportunity for Olivon. The French sides need to have an average of 14 players in their matchday squad across the season. Toulon here tonight with 16, and there are financial incentives for them to keep that level high, which I guess we haven't necessarily associated with Toulon before, if at all.
Now, there is an adjustment going on within the top 14 and the LNR to try and get a better structural support, I think, of the national team and the national talent that is available to Guy Novès and the French side.
Well, now they have 2 French 10s for a start, which they haven't really had anyone to try and push that cause over the last couple of years.
There's one of them, Francois Tranduc, finding the gap. Now, where's the support? Snagged by Chuzanu. The 6'8" open side gets his man, but Toulon still on the front foot. Tafifanua once again in as first receiver. Nono looking for the advance, but Martial with an easy take. And Romain Martial winds his engine up. First chance he's had to show the Bayonne faithful what he can do.
It's a poor kick from Marnonu. It's an area of the game that he's worked on over all the years. We've seen him in an all-black shirt. So actually he's a really accomplished kicker of the ball. Saw that during the World Cup, but that was sloppy. Straight down Martial's throat. Interesting selection dynamic, isn't it, for Toulon? They've got Tranduc, who's probably their #1 choice. He's not going to be your #1 choice to have a shot at goal, though, which would mean 2 goal-kicking fullbacks, which is exactly what they've got in Halfpenny and Goromaru.
Well, Nono getting his prey just about. But both sides looking very, very keen to get their attacking into quick gear. There's the results so far, if you haven't seen them, from the first round of the top 14. Germain and Michalak equaling each other in the Lyon-Brive game. Ian Madigan out duelling Dan Carter. And then that remarkable game at La Rochelle. Clermont getting into 3 tries inside that 24-10 half-time lead, but then Brock James coming back to haunt his old club. And as you can see there, you can see all the highlights of the opening gambits from the 14 teams on Tuesday night.
La Rochelle could be a handful with Brock James at 10.
Got some Victor
players.
Vito in as well.
Yeah.
Interesting to see how they develop. Interesting to see how Bayonne now work these last 7 minutes or so of this first half. Chouara leaving the ball to his captain Monrabo before it's moved on again. There is the tight head once again. Chuzanu, the 23-year-old academy. Man just losing the ball in the contact though, which stops the flow. There he is.
It's an area they're not having a huge amount of success in so far. This first 33 minutes of the first half. Been set back in their attacks when they've tried to go direct through the midfield.
Well, for all the energy and enthusiasm they've infused the first half with, they haven't really been able to get the reward for it, and they look at the scoreboard and they're still not ahead of their opposition.
No, but I think it'll certainly give them some confidence going into the second half, the way that they've managed to exploit space out wide within the Toulon defence.
There's the Toulon bench. Pierre Bernard, you can see on the left of the picture, the new other fly half, should we say, for Toulon. Juan Smith back, fit and able, back in the ranks. Psychologically, a very important 6 minutes coming up now to the break. Could well change the half-time team talks. Juan Martin Fernandez Lobby, such a servant to Toulon, joined back in 2009, played in all 7 finals that have occurred since. Of course, turned down a return to the Argentinian super franchise in order to stay with his team, and of course in doing that has enforced his retirement from the Pumas.
Tough decision for him, that, especially a man of that quality for Argentina. I mean,
that passion.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be a huge loss for them, wouldn't he?
Well, what is he now, 34 years of age? I think he realises the youngsters are coming through, Facundo Issa and all those guys in that back row. There's some very big talent coming through in Argentinian ranks right now, and I think it was as much for the greater good as it was for his own personal well-being. Good take from Halfpenny. Tranduk has had a busy first half for his new team, but not quite getting the momentum out of that move. Illegally stopped by Bayonne.
It's just daft. It's like, must be really frustrating that for coaches. When you talk about discipline, being clever around the breakdown, and then you just get your big mitt on the ball and swipe it back in front of the referee. One of the easiest decisions yet.
Tranduk, really something of an enigma, but such a talent, and you can't knock him back, can you? Be it for club or country, he's got to be in Guy Noves's thinking. He played, of course, out in Argentina in Tucumán in that 27-0 win in the second test. He just adds something. There is a, I hesitate to use the word X factor, but you know what I mean. There is a variable and that he brings to the game.
He's a bit like Freddie Michalak in that way, isn't he? Yeah. Who's obviously just left to head back to Lyon, but he's probably slightly more consistent than Freddie in some ways.
And Tranduk still only 29 years of age. So.
Seems like he's been around for yonks, doesn't he?
Well, the ball is out for Tiosport. Nonu has to muscle up. Drop goal thoughts for Tranduk. A little side-footed attempt. Doesn't find its target, though. Now, what is Mr. Wilkinson going to say to his new number 10 after that?
I think he was over there last week as well.
He's been involved, I think, around the Toulon camp, hasn't he? And certainly when Tranduk made that decision to go to Toulon, the chance to be coached by Wilkinson and Diego Dominguez, a Latin, Anglo-Saxon coaching influence of some of the highest pedigree fly halves there's been.
Yeah, I think, and especially for someone like Tranduk, who, you know, as you mentioned, been through a pretty tough spell at Montpellier, dispensed of. It'd be great for him to move to to Toulon and almost know he's number one and work with some good coaches
On attend.
and be relaxed about his position within a squad.
Van Lille trying to take his team up into enemy territory. Duplessis manages to cross the white line.
Avantage.
The advantage there for Bayonne. They've got a couple of minutes left in this first half. Couple of very important minutes if they can get points on the board. Gorgotze, as ever, never willing to take a backward step. Just looking to make sure he recognises Felix Le Boris for the next breakdown.
Not sure whether Le Boris will be going anywhere near Gorgotze for the next 2 minutes at least.
Well, for the next 42 minutes, I would
maybe he'll
suggest.
forget at half-time.
Monrebeau just weighing up the options with Duplessis, but deciding there is enough time to get this line out and maybe, who knows, to get some points and take a lead into the hutches at the break.
Monrebeau's been good this first half, giving some good direction to that Bayonne pack, and then out wide in those wider spaces he's still got an ability to play with the ball and put other players into space.
So, try scorer Arganese with this line out. Hits Chuzanu. The maul is set up. It's a little fractured though. Gorgotze working his way through. The maul has new interpretations this season, which they're going to have to be careful about. Salim Atala penalising Toulon. No swimming allowed. They have to make sure that the ball is passed back hand to hand. No long arm delivery straight to the back of the maul.
Very quickly chose to go for the corner again as well, didn't they?
Well, just after conferring with the referee. Here we go, take two.
En place, qui est relayeur?
Donnelly, the front jumper. Chuzanu in there as well. Along with Uete, it's Donnelly. Right, can they execute before the break? The last play of this first half. Toulon doing everything they can to derail that. Kinchkashvili, formerly of Racing 92, wearing the same colours though for his new team. Van Lille trying to get away with Tiasport hanging around his ankles. Oh, they're going to lose this. That's the moment gone, I think. There's the half-time. It's even Stevens. A frenetic, entertaining and engaging first half. The home fans very pleased with the output from their team, if not the scoreline. But it's very much... It is a lot that they can take into the hutches at half-time. How they're going to change things in the second half. But at the break, it's 13 points apiece. Bayonne and Toulon all tied up.
Certainly when they turned the ball over, their reaction between attack and defence was poor. So Bayonne will try to expose that, I would think.
And certainly it's something we mentioned in that first half, the lack of preparation time that Toulon have had in the final quarter, whether fatigue will become a factor in the way that Toulon play, and indeed the way that Bayonne are able to spread the game. One change already, Jean-Charles Orioli, the replacement hooker for Toulon, onto the park. Replace the Georgian youngster Alkazashvili. Looking to see whether there's any other personnel changes from the coaches. Can't see any right now. Oh, well, Samu Manoa, there's a big change on for Josh Suter, and that could well change the way that Toulon play their game.
I think we might have lost Bustos Moyano as well. Certainly, Samu Manoa will make an impact in 40 minutes. Probably one of the most raw talents I've ever seen when he arrived at Northampton. but has certainly developed into a massive, massive player, whether it be for the States or whether it be for Toulon.
Zorioli, the replacement hooker, as you saw off that graphic. Eagle Eye May has spotted that Bustos Mariano has left the building, and Julien Tisserand on, that's like for like full-back, and also Lorenzo Cittadini on into the Bayonne front row. 23 there. Where's the other replacement? Tisserand.
Sure.
Standing strong in the tackle. That was an inverted finger in the eye there.
Gêner le soutien les deux, sortir de la zone.
Was it Kinchikashvili? No, it's Kinchikashvili down this near side. So Lorenzo Cittadini alongside Tom Donnelly, experienced Italian operator, of course, with 50 Italian caps already on his CV.
It's that experience that Bayonne are going to find invaluable throughout this season, aren't they? Because they move through some really tough fixtures. No doubt they'll have some dark times as a side, as a club. It's that experience that managed to bring you out of those.
We were saying earlier they've got to make the most of these early games, because of course next week they've got Castres visiting this stadium, then they have that trip to Pau, got a trip to Bordeaux-Bègles, and then Montpellier at home, La Rochelle away to finish the first 6 rounds. They've got to make sure they're in a reasonable position by the end of September, you would think.
Yeah, and you think if they still try and play their way they have been in that first half with real ambition, some French sides will be frightened by the thought of having to defend against that. As long as they can keep a control of it and add some territory gain and possession to that, and they should be in a good place at the end of that 6-week block.
Samuel Manoa coming around the corner and forgetting to take the ball with him. And that's going to allow Bayonne the chance to relieve the pressure from their own 22.
On attend, non, voilà, ok.
Doesn't quite find the touch, but a mistake by Michael Blanc. We haven't seen much of the young man. An espoir getting an unexpected early chance really in the first team.
Tough for him, and no doubt it was a long time for him to just look at that ball and think, right, what do I have to do to get this right, to catch the ball? It's almost one of those examples of when you have too much time to think about it. And playing his rugby at La Seine-sur-Mer, just along the coast from Toulon. Big moment for him, especially when you think about the number and quality of players that he has to wrestle his way through to even get a sniff of that shirt.
On attend, on attend, on attend.
When those guys return from international duty, you can add Tuisova into that mix, of course, as well. O'Connor, Mitchell, Habana, Goromaru, as and when he's fit, Vincent Clerc. Quality abounds in back 3 options for Toulon. Mamadou Tossé joined Bayonne as a medical joker, really. Blair Stewart's injury bringing him into their mix in November. But Blair Stewart now retired, and the fit seemed to work so well for Bayonne and for the player that now he is the first choice fly half. Adam Joyak coming on into the second row for Bayonne. Arganese, the try scorer in the first half. Finds Chizanou once again. Plenty of targets for Bayonne in that line-out.
Vous êtes sur des joueurs au sol. C'est vous qui sortez le ballon. C'est vous. Donc c'est vous qui faites la faute. Vous êtes couché sur des joueurs au sol.
So, diving on top of the player on the floor and
Jérôme, tu dis à Pablo on change. Pablo on change.
Gogotse was saying in Georgian, I was on my feet, sir.
I actually thought he had a case.
Well,
But maybe I think Toulon were that far offside. The breakdown before, it was almost a bit like
it was a
the referee
multitude
was
of sins.
Yeah. Let me find a way to give you the penalty you deserved.
Duplessis had one successful kick in the first half, and now seemingly taking on permanent responsibility in the absence of Justus Moyano. And up to the task, and Bayonne once again with their noses in front.
They'll be happy with that start to the second half. Always one of those things that coaches say, you know, we need to score first, all this sort of thing. Sometimes wonder about that.
There's Adam Joyak, the former Bordeaux-Bègles second row, on for his debut for his new team. Yeah, psychologically there is a big plus, and especially for Bayonne in this game. Psychologically they've got to keep themselves on top of Toulon.
Definitely, and especially if players like Monrebo can keep attacking the line as he has done for the first.
Well, Monrebo has not stopped for the 48 minutes that we've been playing.
He's been brilliant. Both sides up in defence so quickly. You almost feel they must be offside somewhere, but
well, the Kiwi Grant Dorey now in charge of Toulon's defensive strategies. I think we're going to see a first yellow card of the game.
La zone de plaquage.
Just a warning, maybe. Monsieur Atala being benevolent on this occasion, but it's going to give Duplessis another opportunity for three. You would think Olivon has a little problem with that thigh. John Smith, of course, a back row option. In fact, Duplessis opting to give his team a line-out call here.
Martial's a beast, isn't he, when he gets going, as is this man. He's been a handful in the first 50 minutes, certainly. And Bayonne will want to see as much as they can of Monrebo with the ball in hand.
Monrebo with ball in hand now. Sets it up to Chizunu. Have to be very careful how they transfer the ball back through them all. The crowd urging them on for another try. It's going to be there. Try is given. Let's see who's going to come up. I've got a feeling it might. Well, I was going to say Kinchkashvili. It's not.
Arganese again.
It's Arganese, a double for number 2.
Fantastic drive from the Bayonne forward pack. Were patient. Started to splinter off and lose a bit of control as it got more central, but brilliant for an Arganese just to spot that defence shifting over to the left. Tough to stop, isn't it?
I was mentioning the new application of the laws in the Northern Hemisphere, particularly to do with that maul. No long arm transfers. The ripper's got to be attached to the jumper. The ball's got to be transferred hand to hand. There's no sliding backwards allowed now. All those arriving players cannot join ahead of the ball, and they must not slide or swim along the side of the maul. We saw it very adroitly handled by Pascal Calzé yesterday in the Bordeaux Racing game. I'm not quite sure we've seen that same accuracy from Monsieur Atala, but Bayonne won't mind.
It's difficult, isn't it, for referees to try and monitor all of those changes, make sure that exact ruling is carried out. Really tough in an area that's really difficult for them to referee anyway.
So a 10-point difference for the home side. 10 minutes into the second half.
Le plaquage. Sur le plaquage, en avant.
Now, I mentioned the difference between the two benches, certainly in terms of names, and it'd be interesting to see what difference the Toulon bench can make in this second half. They've got the likes of Policier and Bernard, two half-backs. Bastero, of course, adds maybe a different dynamic to the way they can attack.
I would have thought Bastero would be a good option. Not had a huge amount from either Nonu or Mermoz, really, in the first half. Possibly slightly more from Nonu, but he's certainly going to drag a few more defenders towards him, isn't he? Whether we'll see Johnny Beattie soon as well.
Yes, the Scotland international having signed from Casp. Looking to make an impact at any opportunity for his new club. There's Charles Olivon in position 8. But the ball is turned over. Van Lille thinks about an 80-metre trot, but there the offload just a little bit forced, and the ball going forward and giving Toulon another opportunity to mount an attack. Maybe just a little bit too much ambition, too much excitement at that opportunity.
This is when you need to get a control of the way you're playing. It's all very well playing with an open, expansive mindset, with a view to attack a side. But when you make a massive line break like that, you just need to keep hold of the ball. Don't force the 50-50 pass if it's not quite on. Pile the pressure onto Toulon even more.
So Frazier and Van der Merwe have done their time, being replaced by Chilachava and Chiocchi. Certainly the tight head prop position has been an issue for Toulon through the majority of last season, and Marcel Van der Merwe seems to have had a fairly strong, positive opening outing. Former Bulls tight head, Springbok international as well.
Flexion. Lié. Jeu. On attend. On attend.
Duplessis puts width on it. Oh, Bayonne trying to attack, but the tackle coming through, knocking the ball loose, and Lee Halfpenny is going to respond in kind. Halfpenny gets a call from Yobo. Up to the Bayonne 22, goes Toulon.
Avantage ici.
Chandu, ball down, but presents the ball well. Chilachava with the offload to Olivon, but can't take it cleanly. Just seeing the ambition once again of Bayonne, just coming unstuck there as Tisserand lost the ball in the tackle.
It was a great ball from the Boris. Bounced out on that pass from Plessis, sucked in the outside defender and gave the ball at exactly the right time. Just needed to keep hold of it.
Smith waiting to come on, missed the whole of the last month of the last campaign. Frustration for the Springbok veteran. Lee Halfpenny continues his immaculate performance from the tee and brings his team back within one score. Don't forget the bonus point. Losing bonus point is within 5 in the top 14 as Mathieu Bastereau prepares to enter the fray. We've got to say replaced by Joan Smith.
Quite thick set Bastereau, isn't he?
That might be the understatement of the year. As Mano Leatoa was actually in the Aurillac colours in that playoff final. Good game from Arganesin. Not least the 2 tries, of course, but really has got himself about the park quite a lot, made an impact. And Thieu Spoord replaced by Jonathan Pellissier. So we're back with a 7-point game. 25 minutes left on the clock. Break from Smith, gets the call from Olivon. Pellissier up on his shoulder, but just with the foot into touch. Tisserand sticking to his task.
Immediately an impact from Smith. Great ball, and a great example of when to give an offload when it's on, basically. Don't just toss the ball out of the back of a tackle just because you hear a voice. 90% of the time there's half the opposition calling your name anyway, just to try and make you make that offload.
Arganese with an impactful game, his 5th season in Bayonne colours. Sean Smith, I think, pulling his man down in the line out as Chuzanu takes a while to recover. A little mystified, perhaps, the Springbok. No reason why, taking out his inside arm.
I think what also didn't help is I think his lifters was that far apart, there was no stable base for him as a jumper. So as soon as Juan Smith leant on him or pulled him down, really exaggerated his fall.
Well, it's going to be a yellow card here, I think. Jean-Marie Pirabeau, the TMO, having a word in the ear of Monsieur Atala, and as soon as Juan Smith come on, that he's going off for 10 minutes. Dangerous play in the line-out. You can see the way it was an awkward fall then from Baptiste Chuzanu. So, opportunity knocks for Bayonne to try and make something of this man advantage.
I would have expected them to try and get a few more yards out of that penalty kick. Try and expose that numerical advantage here at the line-out.
Samoan international Leatoa with his first line-out. Works perfectly. Crash ball.
Johnny Beattie.
Comes Johnny Beattie. Yes, he's crept on, hasn't he? Drop goal thought from Duplessis, but doesn't pull it round enough.
I always find that quite strange when it's so obvious that a drop goal's on. I mean, there was nothing else on there that Bayonne were looking to try and do, which meant that all of the Toulon defenders could focus on putting pressure on him. Other players around him have to take some responsibility in trying to drag defenders away and be an option.
Yes, the work off the ball is as important as the work on it in those sort of scenarios. Chanduk invites Tisserand to run the ball back. There's Beattie, formerly of Castres from Montpellier, of course. Used to be one of the killer bees. You remember back in Glasgow days with Kelly Brown and Johnny Barclay?
Yeah.
That was a formidable back row in those times.
I thought you were going to talk about some bizarre sort of music group, which is why I was looking blankly at you for a minute.
Been listening to my iPod again. Well, Marc Del Masso and Jacques Delmat interesting, the distance between those two guys. That hasn't changed the entire match. And there appears to have been very little conversation between the two.
Seems very isolated, doesn't he?
That will be another soap opera emanating from Toulon, you think, over the course of the new season. Olivon being pulled awkwardly then.
Right, well, if he's been pulled down,
No.
then surely that's a yellow card as well.
Fernandez Lobe not getting his wish, which I suspect was like for like.
And you wonder whether,
Le 1, s'il vous plaît.
when Mourad Boujallal gets back from holiday, whether that problem is going to be sorted out. And that's exactly the same, isn't it?
Un blanc, monsieur.
Yeah, and funny enough, it was the man that was tipped up the other side of the pitch, Chuzan, who committed the crime there. Yes, the Toulon coaching saga was certainly something that rumbled and rumbled through the summer, and was Diego Dominguez going to take over or not? Fabien Galtier always seems to be in the wings.
You wonder whether Boujallal actually quite likes it. Drags attention to the club. Seems to...
Well, I know what he didn't like was the €100,000 fine that they got for exceeding the salary cap from 2 years ago. That fine issued on re-evaluation of contracts, we're told. Contracts being Gorgotze, Memoz and Michelax, but we've seen the LNR and the authorities trying to tighten things up. Bayonne have got to try and tighten their defence up when Mathieu Bastereau is on the roll. Tranduk with a little dab through, good reaction from Tisserand.
Great reaction. It wasn't quite right, the option from Tranduk. The winger wasn't flat enough. Tisserand was deep enough to be able to move forward in defence or nullify that kicking option from Tranduk.
An hour gone and 7 points the difference. The home side with their noses in front, but it's a fragile lead at the moment. Next score is going to be absolutely vital.
You see here, he was quite flat, to be fair. He did well to get back. I thought he was deeper. He read the situation probably slightly better than Tranduk would have hoped.
Well, there's a case where Tranduk not perhaps having the immediate instinctive communication with his wingers, yet that familiarity will grow and increase, of course, through the course of the season. Janet. There's Tisserand. Good tackle from Nonu. Nonu and Bastereau, the midfield combo now for the visitors.
Don't go direct.
Martial thought he had an opportunity there. He's got about 7-8 inches over Jonathan Pellissier, but unable to catch the ball cleanly.
As an attacking winger, when you're trying to get onto that, it's a lot easier. If you take a wider position, you can come in, you can see the ball all the time. So from there, Martial was actually quite straight and having to drift out on the ball, which means the catch is a lot harder. That's obviously something that was never really an option for me at 5'11", high heels.
In high heels, yeah.
That would possibly not be an option when I was playing on the wing, but Martial's a real handful because he's quick, he's agile, but also he's got that physical presence. Can dominate his opposing defender.
Top 14 winner with Castres back in 2013, Romain Martial. Pellissier, no room to operate, being suffocated around the breakdown. There's Samu Manoa. In fact, Tao Fifanu, I beg his pardon, unable to find his way through. Samu Manoa waiting for that ball to be presented. He can have a next go.
Samu Manoa actually looked quite small next to Tao Fifanu.
Well, we saw his brother Sebastian yesterday operating for Bordeaux-Bègles. They are not shy retiring types, are they, the two Taufifenauer brothers? Right, changes, I think, at 10. Francois Tranduc going to be replaced by Pierre Bernard.
He's done well. I think he's had a good game. He's attacked the line, he's made line breaks. It's probably not his strength, is it? But you would hope the coaching staff haven't made a decision on the back of that kick. Actually, it wasn't a bad option, it was just well read by Tisserand.
Yes, a good first hour in Tranduc's Toulon career. And now Pierre Bernard, another Bordeaux-Bègles man, coming on to show what he's about. Actually played in Bayonne's colours for a couple of years back in 2008. Interesting to see the reception he gets as Pellissier looks to feed him his first touch of the ball. There he is.
Last stop.
Tisserand. Quick, good offload to Rouet. Rouet going through. There's the support from Monrebeau. Here's the chance to win the match, and it's fallen, rightly so, to the Bayonne captain. Jean Monrebeau finishes things off, you would think, with quarter of an hour to go, with their third try. Great break from Bayonne, indicative of everything they've been trying to do this evening. And the fans love it.
100% indicative. You look at the way they've scored that try. Everything about it. From the moment Tisserand got this ball, he attacked the ball with real pace. The offload, he got away off the floor. Rouet, I think, has been brilliant at scrum half. I think he's been sharp. And then a simple 2-on-1. And Monrebeau, for a big lad, he gets around the field. And whether he's carrying or he's taking the ball into space, he knows what he's doing. He's been a potent threat for Bayonne and has deserved that score.
Well, we said earlier on how distinctive the atmosphere is at the Stade Jean d'Auger, and you can see the ingredients, the flavours that it brings back to the top 14. Duplessis misses his first kick of the match, but the scoreline has a reassuring look to it. But what a break it was from the little Spanish scrum half.
He's in the right place at the right time, and that's not fluke. He obviously knows exactly how the play is going to expose itself, how it's going to pan out, and Monrebeau deservedly on the score sheet.
Good work from Mermoz keeping that ball in. Mermoz, I think, has had to fill in now as winger with Michael Blanc being substituted by Bastereau. But the penalty goes the home way, and Bayonne having to make the most of this real swell in their game, of course linked maybe to the absence of Juan Smith.
Yeah, I mean, you'd still think that 14 men could defend on a kick chase where Tisserand caught the ball. It was a long way downfield as Bayonne choose to turn down the three-pointer and go for the corner again. Can only be 1 or 2 minutes left on that yellow card.
Well, in their wildest dreams, in their planning, I wonder whether they were thinking of a try bonus point against the finalists from last year. Juan Smith back onto the park.
If you look at the games that these two sides have played out, over the last 10 meetings that they've had, an average of 3 or more tries a game. So it's certainly in a game where the sides try to play.
The Bayonne forwards trying to work out the structure for this next driving maul. Well, yes, that was kind of inevitable, the way that They were trying to set things up, but the wind is in the Bayonne sails right now. There's some more second row bulk. Dion Everard Oulay, the Ivory Coast second rower, coming on to replace Tom Donnelly, and the former All Black has really given his absolute all on debut for his new side.
We've seen Toulon in these positions before, haven't we? When they're down, you think, right, they've got the quality to just turn it on, and they haven't done it. You'd expect them to have the ability to pluck something out of nowhere, to drag themselves back into the game, and they haven't managed to do it over the last season or so.
Cittadini sent skywards, but the ball allowed to come out to Pellissier. Good handling from Tisserand.
He's done well since he's come on.
Not the biggest of backs, but he's certainly been able to cut lines through the Toulon defence when he's had the opportunity. Manole Atoa. Those who remember the Rugby World Cup might remember him scoring for Samoa against Scotland. Good to see kicks away, trying to get that blue and white line up over halfway. Halfpenny responds in kind.
They've got some time. 11 minutes is fine, but that kick chase, that shot above the kick chase that we had just there wasn't exactly the most regular kick chase that you'd like to see. That the defensive line was a bit staggered. There's a few fatties in the middle that perhaps could have been a bit exposed.
Sorry, is that a technical term?
It is for backs. Look for the fatties in the middle is the chant. That's what you try and look for as a back three player. That when you see them make a line break, that's not through just them putting their head down and run. They're trying to expose one of the tight five in the middle of those kick chases.
Finding the mismatch. Well, certainly it's the Bayonne forwards that are enjoying the ascendancy right now. Away with a high hanging box. Good take from Jimmy Oba, committed to that take and didn't take his eye off it. No. To Bastero.
Great tackle.
Olivon with the offload to Smith. This is good cohesive attacking play from Toulon. Can they make it count? Oh, numbers out to the left. They can't get the ball out there. Now they can. Nonu out to his captain, and the captain feeds out. I think that's Taufifenua. Oh, hang on.
Tell you what, just get the ball down. It's your first job.
It is the first try for Romain Taufifenua for some while, but there was a question mark as to whether he could actually put that down. Let's take a look at this.
He definitely did, but that's what Bastero gives you. There's a good tackle by Boris, but he got the side on the front foot. Olivon as well. Straight in the line from Nonu, and it's pretty simple running, but Willie Duplessis didn't shy away from that. Wasn't far off holding him up.
Yes, using his complete weight to make sure that ball did go down in the end. Sly look at from into the camera.
Nothing's changed between those two.
Frosty relationship between the two coaches for Toulon, watching as Lee Halfpenny tries to ignore the setting sun and bring his team back into bonus point contention. Job done. Well, just when you thought it was safe, Toulon have come back, and we are going to have a fascinating finale to this game, you think?
Olivon's been brilliant. He's done that a few times, hasn't he? Taken the ball flat to the line. He's got halfway through a tackle and then he's made an offload to another player. I think that might have been Juan Smith that he's done that to a couple of times. It's an easy way for Toulon to get on the front foot. And the game looks so much easier when they're playing the game in that way. They've got the players to expose those spaces.
Overkick from Willie Duplessis, not really helping his team there. You can detect just a few nerves showing in the stands now as the Bayonne fans realise the 5-point difference and the time that's still available.
Rouet's been good, hasn't he? He is sharp. As is that man.
So Rouet bids farewell to allow Emmanuel Sabous.
They got an official there, didn't they?
Oh, he's really done everything that could have been asked of him in the opening 73 minutes of the top 14. No doubt he will be on the team list again next weekend. Just to remind you, for your viewing pleasure, we start on Saturday. When we go to the Stade Ernest Vallon to see how Toulouse cope with Bordeaux-Bègles in Madigan and all, and then Sunday it's Montpellier against Clermont on the red button on Sky Sports 3 as Jonathan Policier cannot find his target. Tisserand, the beneficiary. There's Errol Oulay, huge man, 6'6", 120 kilos. Monrebeau, not quite that size, but has had the most impact, most consistent impact on this match of anybody, I would think. Sabous waits, lines up the target. Nobody coming anywhere near Le Brice. And the outside centre taking the ball cleanly with no Toulon attention at all. Chouzenou. Leotoa with the leg drive to get through the line. Oh. Slow passing, not very accurate passing, not allowing Bayonne to pick up any momentum really, but they still have the ball. Jérôme Schuster, formerly of Leicester Tigers and Perpignan, takes them up to the 22.
Brilliant from Monrebeau as well with the latch, just to get his mate through the contact situation.
No Armitage to jackal over that ball for Toulon this time. But there's turnover and there's penalty for the Red and Blacks. Well, Bayonne are going to have to be careful here. They've got to keep their composure, and critically, they've got to keep their discipline.
They have, and they did so well to make, they must have made 40 metres in that period of play, relatively easily as well. Chewed up probably 3 minutes there with the clock. You don't want to run into Taoufik Fanua and Mathieu Bastereau.
Well, Bayonne started last season with victory over Narbonne here and went on to set it as a fortress through the next 17 games, bar the visit of Lyon, the Pro D2 champions. Oh, hello, dear diary.
They smiled at each other. They might have even spoke to each other.
Oh, I wouldn't go too far too soon. I think the intermediaries may have passed word from on high from Diego Dominguez and co.
Bayonne just need to remain calm here. When they get their hands on the ball, now that's their first problem, to get their hands on the ball. when they get their hands on the ball, keep hold of it, take some more time out of the clock. Hardly any time for Toulon to get on the scoreboard.
Orioli working his way down the short side. Here come the next wave, led by Samu Manoa, the big USA captain, making a dent. The call is for holding on. Bayonne, well, the breakdown has been a fluid area to say the least this evening, and now it's come back into home clutches, and Duplessis can clear his lines and allow his team to move up the halfway to set their stall out there. Lee Halfpenny trying to reset his sat-nav to get round them. Juan Smith, good hands out to Olivon, but loses the ball. It's frenetic work from Toulon. 2.5 minutes left on the clock. Pierre Bernard, Lloris thought he had a chance. Now it's Marnonu with a chance. Spins it out to Mermoz. Toulon going hunting the try that could give them an improbable victory. Juan Smith straightens things up. The appeals get the reward.
Monriveau can do what he wants in Bayonne this evening.
You won't need to buy any drinks, that's for sure.
He has an absolute stormer of a game. He's been everywhere. He's turned the ball over there at a crucial time. Lloris inches away from going the length. Don't underestimate how much effort it takes from Monriveau to get back into that situation, and he's got himself in such a great position there, almost using the leg of Juan Smith to latch himself into that contact situation. Low body position, impossible to move. Fantastic penalty win, fantastic turnover, and Bayonne up over the 50-metre line with 1 minute 20 left on the clock. Huge carry from Juan Smith down the middle, and just look how he levers onto that left leg of Juan Smith. Turnovers, they're not about chucking yourself into every breakdown and going for lost causes. Pick your moments, and that was one of them.
Well, the Bayonne captain has led from the front in every sense of the word, and really has shown them how they need to play. Into the final minute now of this opening encounter of their new top 14 campaign. Things have changed at Bayonne, on and off the pitch. And they're hoping that Vincent Echetto, the head coach now, has got a group of players together who can play for each other with a unity that maybe got fractured and splintered 2 years ago when they got demoted, along with Leon, of course.
Toulon
Still got to hold out
here.
now. Sorry, Tom, as Toulon look to mount the last-ditch attack of this first match. Yobo trying to squeeze, but squeezed out of the match. The clock goes red. The whistle goes from Monsieur Atala, and Bayonne have achieved the result that they really craved, and their first outing in the new top 14 season. It's the final result of this weekend. Perhaps it's the biggest result. There's been no away wins at all in round one of the top 14. Stade Francais will top the log with that bonus point win. You can see all the best bits from those 6 matches with us on Tuesday, Sky Sports 2 at 6 o'clock, or indeed on demand. Now, following us, we revert to the round ball as we move 35 miles down the road for Real Sociedad against Real Madrid, coming up next on Sky Sports 1. It's been a fantastic start in the Basque Country. Bayonne victorious once again.